what's up, everybody? Welcome. It's Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is Chad Hastings. The Aggie and the Longhorn are back in the saddle, talking Texas football leading up to Ohio State. The countdown continues to be on. Like, comment, subscribe to the page. We do appreciate all that. We are creeping up on people. 75,000 subscribers. Hey, thank you. Hit that button if you haven't already done so. Everybody's doing it. The cool kids are doing it. Oh, they like us. They really like us. Jump into the comments section. We'll have all kinds of topics today that you can leave opinions on, including Mr. Hastings. And shout out to Specs, one of our sponsors. Jump into the Specs chat. Also, we do love your commentary during the live portion of the show. Love super chats, if we're being completely honest. They can comment on Steve Sarkeesian. He spoke to the media yesterday following Monday's practice. And Chad, I showed up listening for some specific thoughts on the scrimmage, kind of what his vibe was on going into this week in camp. And instead, he left me with an impression that I honestly have never had a University of Texas coach make ever. He showed up after yesterday's practice and emphatically let just everybody know, hot damn, that was a good practice.
Our guys just practiced their asses off, I believe is the exact quote from Steve Sarkeesian. And in a 22-minute presser catch, he actually said it again. He reiterated it later on in the press conference. He was definitely proud of his team on a Monday.
I told Chad while we were talking a few hours ago about kind of what the main topic of the show is going to be. And there's a million things to get into. A lot of interesting comments that Sark made about the team. I think some stuff about Arch Manning is really interesting. Jake Kreul commits to Oklahoma. Probably should mention that up off the top. That not a surprise. We mentioned this yesterday that our sources were telling us this was the likely direction. So there is a lot of stuff that we'll get to throughout the show. And again, send your super chats, comment away on a million different things. The thing that stands out to me, and if I'm a Texas fan, you know, it's one of those things where if I'm walking to an elevator, somebody's like, hey, Ketch, what's up at Texas practice? This will seem like such a nothing thing, Chad. But I think now, 2 weeks in, I would literally say, you know, Sark showed up yesterday, 2 weeks into camp, the next practice after the first scrimmage, and emphatically declared that his team had just had a phenomenal practice. And I got to be honest, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've covered Mac. I've covered Herman. Herman would make some stuff up for the sake of appearances, and Charlie and everybody in between. I've never had a head coach show up, not even Mac Brown in 2005, that I thought was as excited about and just kind of as enthusiastic. And he was geeked up. That was what I was telling Chad, and Chad went back and watched it today, but I was telling him he hadn't come off the high yet. That's what the press conference represented to him. And as he walked up to the press conference, knowing, okay, dial it back. I got to talk to these jokers and talk about the scrimmage. And he's going to ask me about Arch. And you got to kind of ground yourself, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't off the dopamine hit yet, though. And the dopamine hit told him, my guys just worked their asses off. And like, he wanted everybody in that room to know that that was his way of saying that was a championship practice hours after his team had been named number one in the country in the Associated Press poll, where would there be pressure? Would they be tight? Would it even be something that they worried or talked about? It will. It sounds like a little thing, and I can hear it if I was an Ohio State fan or an Aggie or a Sooner. This would sound like some real burnt orange propaganda. All I can say is I've been doing this a long time. I can't ever remember a coach so emphatically up. I've seen coaches have bad practices, and they are quick to point those out. Yeah. I've never seen a coach show up and just kind of proclaim what Sarkeesian emphatically and enthusiastically proclaimed. It stood out to me. It stood out enough to me today that I'm like, that's what we're talking about first today, Chad. Because if I'm a Texas fan, and I had sensed that or seen it or heard it, it made me feel really good about where things are with a little more than 2 weeks to go before this team heads to Columbus. This coach likes his team.
Yeah, I'd be thrilled if I was a Texas fan. And then Catch, after listening to all of it, which I'm glad I did, even more context would make me like it more as a Texas fan. Because here's the extra context. They come off of a scrimmage where things weren't perfect for him. Then they had Sunday off. This is a Monday practice we're talking about, but all those players know that on Tuesday, it's full pads at the stadium. So you could think about how a team would look forward to that. Yeah. Plus, at about 11:30 that day on Monday, they are named the preseason AP #1 team officially. And Sark's probably thinking, oh, hell, here we go. Let's see how these prima donnas show up. Let's see how these guys show up after that scrimmage, getting named #1, and they go out and practice really well for him. So that context gets me even more excited if I'm a Texas fan. It's a trap practice for him, Catch. It was in the bubble as well. So a little more boring in the bubble.
I was going to say, I always wonder, is it harder to get guys up
Hell yeah.
once they go into that infestated?
Right, because we know, all jokes aside, it's not just the bubble. It is 2 full stages backwards of where they need to be. They're trying to get caught up on that. So you could see how a player would be kind of like, ugh, I'm in the bubble again, versus I'm going to be a DKR in full pads.
Now, it is air conditioned.
It is. He saw what he wanted to see. Yeah, you're right about that.
You know what? The bubble looks great in August.
Yeah, he saw what he wanted to see. The other notes later that jumped out, Catch, were he talked about the attention to detail on offense. Pre-snap, they really worked on pre-snap stuff on offense that he liked. And he said he liked the physicality and the straining to finish. So that's some of the stuff he saw on Monday that he really liked. But I was with you. We heard it the same way. I can't remember it either. Can't remember Mac or Charlie or Tom or any coach, you know, sitting down and it feeling like that right after a practice.
No, and, you know, we can segue. We don't have to spend a huge chunk of the show on it. But because I do, there were some things about what he said about the scrimmage and where the team is. And, you know, he seems like, the thing about Sark is I was a doubter of Sark. Forgive me. But I think there were reasons for it. And then he shows up in year 1, and I did not think he had a good year 1. I think he would probably tell you the same. You can't lose 6 games in a row.
I was going to say, that losing streak's brutal.
Yeah, you know, like we literally had guys to NIL deals who decided, I'd rather not make money than show up and have to talk about these losses anymore on the YouTube channel. Yeah. And I couldn't even be mad at Xavier Worthy when he did that. I was like, no, dude, I don't want you to do this and not enjoy yourself. So if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But like, I got it. And look, I'll always give like the Jake Majerses and the Keandre Coburns of the world a lot of credit for like sticking through it and doing that stuff, because I know it couldn't have been easy. But coming out of year 1, coming out of year 2, the Quinn Ewers thing doesn't completely go as planned. But what he's doing in the last 24 months or so, maybe just even beyond that, 36 months maybe, if you don't include all of the guts of a 8-5 season, where really at the end, it was about the midway point of that season where things really turned because they started winning on the road. Like that just became a team suddenly that stopped losing all the time on the road. Segue potentially for Chad at some point in the show to circle back on this, and they started winning on the road as a team. Chad really does have some good numbers on Texas and the road lately, including a stat that I made out of your stats, Chad, which was 11-0 over the last 2 seasons or 2.5 seasons or whatever, has put them 8-7 in the last 10 years against ranked teams on the road. Like that's what 11-gamer will do to your numbers. It'll save the decade.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Because if I said, what's the last 10 years on the road look like? I'm like,
you start to duck, right? Texas fans would be like, what are you talking about?
5-20.
Yeah, but actually, it is. Yeah, it's a winning record. It's a winning
8-7.
record because of this string they're on right now. It's impressive.
No,
Yeah,
I think Sark, whatever he's going to be as a head coach, I think we're watching him hit his zenith now. And who knows how long the peak lasts, because his age suggests it could last 10, 15 years if he really wanted it to. That's what happened with Nick Saban. It doesn't always work that way. But I look at a guy who has never been better at his craft than he is right now. And so when the guy who's at the peak of his craft right now shows up after practice and is gassed up over what he watched from his team pretty organically, I just don't think you could have faked that. I've just never seen a coach do that in 30 plus years of covering Texas football. I've just never seen anyone quite do that. Again, it stood out to me for that reason.
Right. Another reason it felt real, Catch, is we've watched him fake it before. We've watched him do it. We've made fun of him, and fans make fun of him, where it's like, let me guess, Sark, it's a great practice. Let me guess.
All coaches do that.
Right. All coaches will say it's good practice. Sark sometimes will say it, and fans do not buy it. But they had to buy it.
Once he gets into his planned remarks, he does do some of this. Again, we're going to get into the Arch thing in a second. In fact, this is kind of the example of like the high and then into the – I thought one of the real interesting things about yesterday, talk about a coach who's comfortable inside his own skin. He got asked about the scrimmage. And again, it's hard to get anything out of Columbus right now. I don't know Ryan Day's been asked about the scrimmage. Who knows? Maybe he has, and I've just missed it. But at a time when I'm just trying to find out, did they scrimmage at all? Is Ohio State practicing? Sark kind of gave play-by-play all the way through every single session of practice with what happened in every single session of practice.
Yeah.
Which, by the way,
he went game summary. I felt like I was on my phone going over a game.
No, I was about to say, if you'd read Anwar's scrimmage report on Saturday, he typed it out exactly the way Sark described it out. It was like the first drive, the offense did this, this, and this. Then they did this, and then they did this, this, and this. And I was listening to Sark, and I was like, okay. One thing that Sark did not say yesterday was that, hey, my quarterback Arch threw 3 touchdowns to Ryan Wingo, and isn't that a badass combination? And oh, by the way, we got no worries about those guys. Like, that didn't happen.
We could put that mystery to bed. There were not 3 touchdowns thrown to Ryan Wingo.
If it happened, that is not what Sark wanted to get out.
No.
Because he could have.
Yeah.
What he talked about with Arch that was really interesting, because I was talking to Chad about this. Again, you should hear our morning conversations. Sometimes they're better than the shows. I was telling him, I said, there's a world out there where Sark shows up in his bedside manner and talking about Arch puts him on like the front page of ESPN.com. Sark, Arch needs to be better. He said that, but he said it in the kindest, couching my comments in a positive, light way that a head coach can, with a young starting quarterback who's really inexperienced, who's getting ready to make the biggest start of his life in the first road game start of his life. Instead of saying like Arch struggled or Arch needs to be better, what he said was, all of our quarterbacks are pretty good. Arch was good. Though, there were quite a few throws on Saturday that we know he'll make later in the year.
Yeah, he said 5 or 6. 5 or 6.
5, to be specific.
Yeah. You could tell they were in his brain. 5 or 6.
He did not say my guy Arch threw 3 touchdown passes to Ryan Wingo. Watch out, bitches in Columbus. That's not what he said.
God, I wish he had.
It would have been great. And trust me, watch out, bitches would have been on the thumbnail.
That would have been our thumbnail for the next 3 shows.
Oh, YouTube would have had to like restrict the video. Sorry, guys. Can't say that word in the headline. No, he said it. We're quoting us.
Asterisk.
They think we're a terrorist organization.
Asterisk.
Guys, you don't even want to notice like they deal with YouTube sometimes. You'd be surprised at what words can get you flagged. You're like, I promise we didn't mean bomb in that way.
Yeah, right. Football, it's a football term.
It's like an 80-yard touchdown pass, guys. Now I kind of
term.
regret even saying it out loud.
Yeah, don't say that.
I just got us pinged on a Tuesday.
Do that.
He said he made like 5 or 6 throws that he didn't make, that he will make. That is the nicest way of saying he didn't complete everything that we wanted him to complete. And it turned, you know what? And again, it kept it from being, with 24 hours to kind of marinate on it, not quite 24 hours, Chad. I was like, man, that was a really sophisticated way of talking about your quarterback and saying kind of what needs to be said, realistic expectations. We're a work in progress. We know we're going to get there. I'm not tripping. I'm not worried. And oh, by the way, Arch was good. He just like 5 or 6 things. That's it. 5 or 6 things. And I think this is a head coach that's really at the top of whatever the top of his craft is going to look like, and whether it leads to a championship or not at the highest level remains to be seen. But I'm really impressed by every little slight touch that we've seen him use going into this season. And I was paying attention yesterday.
If you guys want to send us a super chat, it'll go right to the top of the list. Over 500 of you in the Specs chat. Also, whether you're following Sark or anything else in the world of sports, make sure you're doing it the right way with AV consultations. We're closing in on the season. Make sure you have the setup you need. Make sure you have the screens and the speakers and the cables and everything is set up. If you have little kids in the house, you don't want the wires hanging out everywhere where they're swinging on them and, going to hurt themselves and tear the stuff up. Make sure it's set up the right way. Make sure you got what you need. How about badass like theater quality furniture? They can do that for you as well. Your computer systems, your security systems, indoor and outdoor cameras. They do all of that at AV Consultations. 255-8678. Tell the crew, tell Tom and the gang you heard about it here on Orange Bloods Live. We appreciate you checking us out today. Thank you guys for chatting. First off, just real quick, no super chats right now, but this dude's being nice to me, so I'm just nice. Growing up, my dad and I would religiously listen to Chad on local radio. Not sure if he knows how YouTube works, but he'll be thrilled when I go visit this weekend and throw it on during our tea time. LOL. Brooks, thank you for saying that. Y'all have a great round of golf. Hit him straight. And
this is another way of saying you're old.
It is the way I say I'm old, but I'm already comfortable with that. So the fact that your dad would care to listen to me while playing golf, that's awesome. I like this too, Mike. 30-21 sounds like a good thing. That sounds like a good margin.
A lot of points, though.
A lot of points, but a 9-point margin sounds good. That sounds like a pretty good, a good Arch Manning. All right, no super chats right now. I'm trying to collect any last thoughts on Sark here, Catch. Because I think we both agree on how well he can deal with details. This train is going to leave the station, and he won't be able to control a lot of parts of it once Arch is playing. But I don't think we could talk enough about how masterfully he answered that question. Because you laid it out for everybody. But there is a difference. There's a difference in saying he missed 5 throws, or there are 5 throws we know he's going to make, and we're not a perfect, team right now and all that. The way he's handled this all, except maybe for that little hiccup against Georgia and Austin, where he kind of lost his mind for a second, he's been so consistent with this whole thing. And yeah, it was just another bravo moment yesterday.
If you were Cooper or Archie or the uncles, you may have heard of them, you wouldn't be sitting back as Arch is getting ready to go into this season and thinking to yourself, we chose the wrong guy for him to go play for.
No. Oh, not at all. You're right.
Yeah, I think they've managed the circus as well as it can be managed. And look, all it'll take is a Chris Sims performance. God, I hate that that's a verb, but we all know what it looks like. We all know what that meant. Yeah, all it would take is like 2 pick sixes in the first quarter of a game. And we know what that looks like. I've lived it. I've seen it. And like Texas could come back to win that game. Was that Colorado? where that happened, where they were down 14 or 14-0 early on. It was like back-to-back picks. They ended up winning like 45-14 or something like that. But
wasn't it at Kansas where that happened?
Maybe it was Kansas.
I know it happened to him at Kansas one time. That
may be the game I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it was 14-0 like that.
And then they end up winning by like 40, but like the only thing you'll remember from that game 25 years later is that it gets referenced as, remember back when that thing happened? It can all change in a heartbeat. But up until now, he's really done a phenomenal job with handling the arch madness, if you will. Yeah. Anything from yesterday before we talk about any of the other number of things that probably need to talk about Jake Kreul a little bit?
I definitely want to get you to talk about Kreul. No, I think we're,
Is there anything from yesterday though that caught your eye in a alarming way? Any concerns about this team that, when discussed, made you go, huh?
No.
Yeah,
not really.
Either.
No. It's an overall. I mean, the overall feeling I think is positive. Even when he mentioned a couple guys go out injured in the scrimmage, but they were back practicing in that Monday practice that he really liked. So everything was positive. Only thing I would mention, just to give, our brothers and sisters in the media kind of a heads up, he said that to start the press conference, and 22 minutes plus later, no one said how, in what way, or what makes you say that. Not one time. No one actually directly asked why he said that. He eventually gave some answers that kind of told you, but nobody did. It's one of those arts we've lost, Catch, the listening part. Because sometimes when you're interviewing someone, they'll say something and you have to stop. We did it in radio all the time. I'm not great at it. We all fail at it. But if you interview someone and they say something crazy, you got to take that next question out of your head and go, whoa, hold on, stop. You just said Tom Cruise makes the best cereal. Why? Yeah. Tell us the story.
It can't be like, so anyway, this weekend was really crazy. Hung out with Willie, and the rapper Too Short was there. Right. And then out of nowhere, Kate Winslet showed up and was hanging out with Snoop Dogg. Anyway, Practice was great. Questions. And then the first guy can't go. Coach.
What about the star position?
Can you give us an update on the health status of Nick Brooks? And you have to assume your other brothers are going to pick you up at that point.
I'm not going to call anybody by name, but he said what he said. And the very first question was about the team dealing with the number one ranking. It was in the neighborhood in a way, but it wasn't directly there. And you could tell Sark's face was like, really? Okay, I gave you that. You don't want to know. All right, fine. And then nobody actually wanted to know. Anyway.
Christ, give me the strength today. I will not yell at my fellow media brethren.
No, we won't do that. Instead, we're going to give Hijack some love. So, because you need to go check out a little THC. You do need to check out THC. That's Rogue Shop. TCH is Texas Card House. Get to Texas Card House.
I like to do both at the same time.
You could do both. In fact, I'll really tell you how you can do both in a second. Or mention Orange Bloods. You'll get 1 month of free club membership and 2 hours of free poker play. If you want to mix in the TCH with the THC, this is how you do it. Go online, hijackpoker.com. Scan the code, put it on any device you want, and get after it. All right, Catch, let's go to Cruel Intentions or Cruel Summer or whatever puns we'd want to make. Jake Kreul picks OU over Texas and Ole Miss. Let's get your thoughts on it. What level of edge player are we talking about here? How big a loss is this right now for Texas as far as a commitment?
Do you want me to give you the PC answer, or do you want me to give you how about I give you both?
Okay, actually, I would like that.
Give me answer.
Okay, PC answer first, please.
Because there'll be no turning back after I give the non-PC answer.
Right. Let's go, please. PC answer.
It's a really good pickup for the Sooners, and they had to have it. In the last 24 hours, Davian Gross, the top uncommitted prospect in the state of Texas, in the 2026 class, who had been leaning to Oklahoma all year. Imagine leading the Daytona 500 for 499 laps, and then on the final lap, Florida sneaks by you? Yeah, that happened. So Gross committed to Florida yesterday, and if you ask me, well, if you said, Catch, which of these two guys for Texas, if you could pick one. Now, Texas didn't even offer Gross, and we know that they were second place for Kreul. But if you could have one or the other, I would take Gross, because I'll give you my Truth Serum Catch comments here in a second. He's a super blue chip. He was really good at the Rivals 5-star camp back in June. He's a great kid. I love the fact that, like, he didn't embarrass any of the schools there. He didn't embarrass himself. I thought the announcement, considering it was on McAfee and like.
Right. By the way, were those mason jars in front of him? What were those things with the logos, those little placards? What was that?
I don't
was
know.
it an iPod?
I don't know. I know you always, sometimes I turn my question asking brain off. And I did for that. He picked Oklahoma. He's real classy about it. There was no like horns down or anything. You know what I mean? You're always curious how he's a good kid.
Right.
And it is one of the most important pickups that Oklahoma will have in this recruiting class. So bravo, Oklahoma. Nice head-to-head win. On the Texas side of things, Oklahoma, I've told you before, hey, we got to get used to living in a world where if you think a defensive tackle is worth $300,000 a year and another school thinks that he's worth $700,000 a year, we can't get mad if that kid picks the $700,000 a year option, and maybe it's not all about the money, but like it doesn't hurt either. And it does sound like Oklahoma was better positioned from a revenue share / NIL standpoint that I've been mentioning for weeks. Very consistent in this. Texas, they are not Floyd Mayweather Jr. at the strip club right now, making it rain. And anything that's happening in recruiting right now, not with anybody. They're kind of waiting. I think it'll be a while. Now, look, if they found the right guy and he flipped, maybe it flipped. But I don't know that it means they get crazy in NIL. I really get a sense that Texas wants to see now, how does the season go? They didn't think Michael Fasusi was as big of a deal in August as they thought he ended up being in October and November. So things can evolve based on what your roster shape looks like. So it's like, oh, Cam Williams is going to go to the NFL. We do need a tackle. By the way, they're saying Fasusi might start game 1 at OU.
Wow.
Who knew?
About that. Good thing they have a game or two to get into it before they play Michigan and Auburn.
Yes. Well, you do what you can. And at the very least, it sounds like a guy that's going to play in game 1 and potentially be a starter by the end of the season. They certainly think he's that good. Right. So he was really important. He's more important to Oklahoma than Texas. It happens. And I get it. It's a big win. Me personally, Truth Serum Sark, I hate the kid's physical profile. I hate that I know some of the data that I know in my head historically about weird things in recruiting. And what I know about recruiting is that in the last quarter century, the number of guys with his physical profile that have gone on to be not just like great college players, it's either great or those dudes don't make it 4 years most of the time.
Is this back to that?
They're not lettering.
Is this the conversation where you end up saying Von Miller's name? Is it that?
Von Miller's about to get a name drop.
All right, here we go.
Colin Simmons is about to get a name drop because we talked about this when Colin Simmons was being recruited.
Yep.
And the reason at the time when it was like, well, Catch, if you know what you know about guys with this kind of physical profile, why are you making an exception for Colin Simmons? And it was like, because that guy is a freak athletically. And in order to make it with that kind of size, athletic profile, you have to be Colin Simmons, Von Miller, Caleb Von Chason. Joseph Osai is actually a really good example of a guy that fits the tweener profile. I think Osai came in at like 210. Kreul sitting at about 6'3", 225. As a prospect, I've seen a million of them. He's not Colin Simmons. He's not Von Miller. And in order for him to succeed in that body, in that frame, historically, a quarter century, there are no exceptions, Chad. There's none. There's not like one anomaly that you go, oh, he was the Zach Thomas of edge players and he wasn't super athletic. He was just pretty good athletically. No. I don't mean to be mean on I like this kid. I wish I didn't know the things that I know sometimes. But I cannot ignore that a quarter century of data involving dozens and dozens and dozens of guys with his athletic profile, they don't make it unless they are freakies. And by that, I mean they can jump 40 inches. They run in the 4.4s. They test at the combine. And what was all said and done, you go back and you go, well, why did Von Miller make it? Why did Kaylavon Chason end up being a first-round draft pick? Why is Colin Simmons a preseason All-American going into his sophomore season? They have that thing that can't be taught. And I'm sorry, Sooners. Look, you guys will play this video. You guys will cue this up if this guy ends up being an All-American. But you know what I'll end up saying? He was the exception. It's about time we have one of those. But the math says that's really unlikely.
We got super chats in there. We will get right to them. Shout out to over 600 of you in the Specs chat. Let's give Specs a little bit of love this summer.
This summer, when the sun scorches and sanity is one sweat beat away from collapse, a hero rises. Specs, your cathedral of cold cans, your oasis of cool.
That can of espresso martini. That looks kind of interesting to me. All right, Catch, we got a couple of super chats. Let's go right here. $4.99 from Hank. Wonder if John Mateer's taking over or under in Red River this year. So, Catch, this story with John Mateer, we're in a world where there's a lot of fake stuff out there. There's a lot of weird AI stuff out there. What was your quick kind of, not the quick reaction. What's your reaction now as we're sitting here? Like, would you tell an Oklahoma fan that this is a real thing and that something may be about to happen? Or like, what do you make of all that?
Well, the school told us today that it's a real thing.
Okay.
That they issued a press release essentially saying we're aware of it, checking it out.
Okay.
So that wasn't our guy. That's not, he was hacked.
Right. That's not
enough. Maybe that ends up being the story, right? Oh, I was letting my play cousin use the app and if I was going to order drugs, why would I write weed in the comments section?
Well, he spelled sports gambling perfectly correctly from what I could see. That was tough. Honey, why does this bill say prostitute? Look, why right there? Why does it?
There was a guy in the last couple of years. I won't be specific on this because I don't want anybody to try to guess who it was. But there was a Texas player that we had heard in the lead up of a pretty big game last couple of years that there might have been like a 1-game suspension over picks or something like that. I don't know. Ultimate bet. I only know prize picks, right? Because that's the only one that I play, but there's the underdog or whatever the hell it is. What are the other? I don't know. I shouldn't say them. Whatever they are, right? He was doing one of the thought was that something like that might have happened. And in the end, something was going on behind the scenes because we were getting wind of it. But then the guy ended up not missing any games. And he's not even at Texas anymore. So it was like not a thing. So I wouldn't know what to tell an OU fan. I never seen it before. I don't know how much they care. I don't know what you would say to spin that. I don't know. Like it looks bad, but I don't know that it's also a smoking gun.
Yeah. And we've never had I think starting quarterback of a power conference team to be involved in something like that?
Well, look, I think this would be the worst case.
I don't remember
that
that.
they look it up and they find, oh crap.
Yeah.
Like $20, if you actually bet $20 on a game, look, worst case, they would make him sit out a game or something like that. Pay it back. I mean, NCAA is weird on stuff like this. They could suspend him, and then he could be like, oh, I sue you as a response to that. And the NCAA could say, actually, we take it back. You can play.
Was there a specific game mentioned? I never saw the post.
Was it USC and UCLA?
Okay, so it's a game that didn't involve Oklahoma. If we're going to start going down like a
ended up at Oklahoma, so it couldn't be a game that would have involved Oklahoma. He would have been at Washington State at the time.
Good point. All right, so he's at Washington. Sorry, a game that doesn't involve Washington State. If we want to go down like a Pete Rose, discussion. Okay, all right. I guess that's
honestly, Chad. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it.
Yeah, I don't either. It's weird.
It's like Capone going down for taxes.
Mm.
We all think Oklahoma's not going to have a good season, and that I think Brent Venables is going to get fired at the end of the year. And oh, by the way, there's the elephant in the Jake Kreul story. That kid might be on the free, might be looking for a new school and a new program, and maybe finishing second. If you're Texas, isn't the worst place to be with a kid committed to Oklahoma? But I think if that thing plays out organically, they've got 6 and 6 or 7 and 5 written all over them. But if you were to lose Mateer for like this,
yeah,
it just feels like, I don't know. I personally wouldn't feel. I've kind of felt icky about the whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely got some icky to it. There's no doubt about that. We'll get this.
I don't like people sleuthing athletes. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we'll get this super chat in, and then we'll get you some buy or sell. Jay jumps in. What's up, Jay? That changed a little bit. It went from J Lee to J-L33. All right. $2 super chat. Catch, you are why I was so scared of Kreul. LOL. See, Catch, you say they don't listen to you.
Jay Lee listens. I know Jay Lee listens.
Jay listens to you, and you have made him realize that when he saw that body type, he was like, oh, wait, Ketch told me what to think about those kind of edge players.
Yeah.
It's tough. Sometimes it's hard to fight those numbers, Jay. Thank you for that.
And look,
super chat.
The one thing I'm consistent about, Chad, the rule is the rule unless one specific exception exists. And it's like, just be freaky.
Right. Be the exception is you're the exception. That's what they're called exceptions for a reason. You just have to be that.
Another guy that kind of fit this a little bit was Landon Rink, Chad.
Okay.
Where just as a recent example for a UT legacy recruit.
Right.
There were a lot of people early in his recruitment because he was UT legacy recruit that wanted me to say, well, he's critically important. And I was like, I can't say that because he plays a position that it really matters if you're 6'3" or under, that
right.
You just got to be taller than that. And the good news is you can almost be terrible at defensive end if you're 6'4" and above. And like those guys still turn out to be NFL players. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
If Jake Kreul was 6'4.5", 265.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even need to look at film.
You'd say pay him whatever you can.
I'd go, the data says about 70% of those guys get drafted. So yeah.
Damn. Rink ended up at A&M?
Yeah.
Isn't that right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Interesting there. So we're talking about Kreul, who ended up at Oklahoma, and then you mentioned Rink, who ended up at A&M. So yeah, Jake Kreul did pick Oklahoma today, in case y'all missed that. We got buy or sell coming right up after I remind you guys to take care of yourselves with sinus and snoring specialists. If you snore like crazy, if you saw logs, like my granddad used to say, it's not just something that bugs people. It could be something that's really hurting you. Don't let it get worse. It can turn into much worse things if you have snoring on a level where it's sleep apnea and it's this level of sleep apnea and all that kind of stuff. Get it looked at, get it taken care of. They've got surgical and non-surgical options for all kinds of ear, nose, and throat stuff. If you want to get rid of your allergies for good because they've been driving you crazy all these years, they can do that too. 601-0303 or check out sinussnoringent.com. A lot of cool videos and information there. Feel clear, rested, and healthy with sinus and snoring specialists. And please tell them you heard about it on Orange Bloods Live. I would appreciate it. All right. Catch, are you ready to buy or sell on a Tuesday?
I am. I'm going to let you go first.
All righty then. In that case, we're going to start with 3 big names on the road to start the season. Buy or sell number 1, you think Texas, Bama, and LSU all win on the road in week 1.
Remind me who they all play.
Bama is at Florida State. LSU is at Clemson.
Sell. That's what I thought. No, Clemson's going to beat LSU.
Can't wait to check that game out. What a wild game that is for both fan bases, for both quarterbacks, for both head coaches. That's such a good game. All right, Catch, buy or sell number 2. Texas will have a 1,000-yard wide receiver and running back.
I'm going to go buy over 16 games.
Right. I was going to say, I'll give you the full run.
Full run, yes, buy.
Yeah.
I don't think I think, though, they could have 2,000-yard receivers in 12.
See, I was going to ask you if you would go with like a 3 combo. If I just gave you a free 1,000 of either one, do you think there's going to be 3 altogether for the season once it's all said and done?
I think I am eventually, my prediction for this team is going to have them losing in the national championship game to either Ohio State or Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know. At this point, I'm just going to lean on the fact that those 2 teams both have still a statistical slight edge in total roster power.
Right.
And I think that, but I understood and the math's kind of on my side, right? 19 of the last 21 preseason number 1s didn't win the national championship. So
yeah, I love stats like that because that kind of stat really matters and really doesn't at the same time. Love those stats. Yeah.
It only matters until it doesn't, but until it does, it doesn't.
But 19 out of 21 does sound like a big deal. All right. Buy or sell number 3.
It's a more emphatic number than those tweener numbers, let me tell you.
It is. Catch, you did not play fantasy football last season, and you missed it. You're back for 2025.
So I did not miss it at all.
I
really enjoy just having prize picks as my fix, my glimmer, my dopamine hit, and I did not miss the hours upon hours of stress-related homework that I gave myself to try to create fine margins so that my fantasy team could be better, only to have a guy get hurt 2 days after I picked him up for the season and all my hard work. I'm done with that. I'm done.
Preach, preach, preach. I'm so happy to hear you say that. And thanks to Prize Picks for being Catch's vape pen.
Can I tell you who I am? Who my soul is? I'm like those ghosts in Return of the King when he releases them from their oath of, and they're like, he's like, I release you. And the ghost is like, oh.
Yeah.
That is me not playing fantasy football.
By the way, you'll be proud of me. I get that reference because I did watch the Lord of the Rings movies in the last year. How about that?
50-50 if we're being honest.
I watch a movie every now and again.
You did not react in a way that gave me hope that you knew that reference.
No, I did. Thank goodness. Yeah. And shout out to my kid who did that in the last year or so. She watched it and said I needed to. So good for her. All right, Catch. Buy or sell number 4. You kind of referenced it earlier. Texas has won 11 in a row on the road. You can tell me within one number the all-time UT streak on the road. I just looked this one up and I'd forgotten that it was this much during this particular era.
15.
Ooh, that technically would not be close enough. It is 17. 17. The day that Texas went to K-State and Colt McCoy got hurt in 06, that ended a 17-game road winning streak. So Mac Brown owns it. Even if Texas wins all their road games this year, Catch, they still won't get to that number. They'll need another one to tie it. So crazy.
That one's safe. I think that I'm not saying it's definitely safe, but boy, that's quite the minefield that.
Well, I was going to say, we're all going to need to mention that if Texas gets there, not only will it include Bama already and Michigan, but it's going to include Ohio State and Georgia. And then you're going to need another one next year to start whatever that first road game.
They started impressively in Manhattan. I didn't think Texas was going to win that game. So.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All right. And finally, Ketch, let's go to the NFL. Buy or sell number 5. You have a Super Bowl champ picked out in the NFL.
I'm like default Chiefs.
Default Chiefs. Okay, fair enough.
I just take Mahomes.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm in the Final Four at the very least.
It's decent. It is decent. Jay Lee, I see that super chat. We'll get to it after Ketch does buy or sell. What do you got, Ketch?
Buy or sell number 1. You caught a little bit of Monday Night Football last night. You can't help it. It's just something that you need at this time of the year.
Sell. I didn't realize there was a game on last night.
Yeah, Matthew Golden and the Packers played. I didn't watch any of it, but I saw it getting hyped up on social media.
No, sell.
In fact, it sounds like Jordan Love got hurt in that game.
We recorded Outsiders last night, and then I went downstairs and watched Raw. So
no, but look, the Packers played Jordan Love. And it sounds like he came out of that with an injury.
See, isn't it weird to watch these NFL teams where it's all or nothing? Like some teams are sending them out there for a drive or like a quarter, but then some of them, it's all street clothes. Like it's weird to see team to team. I could name for you like 6 or 8 teams I saw play their starter. And then there's teams like the Cowboys and Steelers and others that are just like, nope, he's over on the sideline and you may not see him at all.
Buy or sell number 2. If at any point this season you hear an A&M fan say that they would rather have Mike Elko than Steve Sarkeesian as their head coach, you feel so strongly about the other way that you would actually say it out loud.
Yeah, that's
it's one thing to believe that Texas has potentially the better head coach. It's another thing around other Aggies to believe it to such a degree that you'd be like, guys, I can't let that go.
Yeah, no, that's a buy. You know me. I'm all about the realism of the situation and the truth of the situation, and just the disrespect of that. Just to throw him away like that. Well, no. Like there's a group of coaches, and I think Sark's in it now. Sark and Kirby and Ryan Day or whatever. If an Aggie fan said to me, I'd much rather have Elko than whatever follows the than, I'd tell him to be careful. Because we're sitting at a moment where we do not know if they're accurate. They could think they're accurate. We just don't know if they're right yet. Even Elko might tell me that.
I understood that a couple of years ago, but like now you do have to give him some level of props, I would think.
No, you absolutely do. Yeah.
Buy or sell number 3. My dog accidentally pawed me in the eye, this eye, last night, and like 14 hours later, it still significantly bothers me. Buy or sell, you've suffered in your life a worse dog injury than getting punched in the eye. Like a cat pawing at you, but like it just hit me flush, like in the eyeball. You've been hurt by a dog worse than that.
Man, I got to sell that. Thankfully, I think I'm going to sell it. I've had a time where I kind of tripped over a dog and it hurt my back a little bit, but nothing super serious. It's never really been like something horrific or even to that degree. No, I've had little things, but it's not that bad where it was hurting a day or so later. No.
Yeah. Like other than like occasionally getting my hand caught in my dog's mouth when they have something I don't want them to have. I've never been bitten by a dog. Weirdly. I didn't realize it until I got socked in the eye, and then it kept me from sleeping last night that this was an unusual experience. Buy or sell number 4. If we were doing a player of the Longhorns in this decade thus far, you think the best Longhorn of them all so far in the 2020s is Bijan Robinson?
Bye. Because that's who was in my head when you were going through the sentence. So, yes. Bye.
There's actually a lot of candidates.
There really are. I mean, Xavier Worthy's in the group, and there's there's multiple receivers now that have turned themselves into something. There's big dog defensive players.
Byron Murphy, Devondre Sweat.
Yeah, Sweat. That's some DBs. Jahdae Barron. There's all kind. But in the end, we're talking about a guy that is being discussed as you're either going to take this other dude as your very first fantasy player, or you're going to take Bijan, and he's only in his second year in the league. And yeah, I'll go with Bijan.
The most Aggie thing of all time about the Texas Longhorns during the 2010s is that their player of the decade was Justin Tucker. Like having a punter or a kicker be the best player of your decade, that feels like something that somewhere along the line happened because the Aggies always had good kickers.
Hey, but at least he beat the Aggies, right, Catch? Don't forget
like
that kick.
It wasn't by accident. He's not the player of the decade because he didn't make
There's the true irony of it. He took the Aggies out at the end.
And was that 4? Do I have one more left? It better be because I got to get to lunch at 1:30 with a guy like 45 minutes away from here. Good luck, Catch. Okay. And finally, buy or sell number 5. If you could go to either Alabama, Florida State, or LSU, Clemson, either of those two experiences, it's Clemson all day and twice on Sunday.
Buy. It's not even close.
That's what I'm saying.
See him run down the hill, the rock, the hill, the whole thing. Nothing against Tallahassee because I dug Florida State as a kid. I'd like to go see Chief Osceola and that thing one time, but it's Bama going in there who I don't care as much about. I want to see every bit of drama that is LSU Clemson because the losing fan base is going to want to jump off of something high. Like that game, the winner doesn't get much out of that game, but the loser has been punched in the face with a boulder at that point. So,
I think it's a bigger – because, look, Clemson could lose 3 times and still get in the playoffs in a world where they just get themselves into the ACC championship game again.
Yeah, I that's fair, but Catch, they've lost their last 2 openers 62-10 combined.
No, I get it. I'm just saying it's bigger for LSU because LSU still has to go through thus cuts down your margin of error significantly moving forward.
It is, definitely bigger for LSU. Brian Kelly still hadn't won his opener at LSU.
Can I tell you why I think that question, I asked it? I'm with you. Like, it's easy. And yet Alabama's on the other side. So if Alabama going to Tallahassee can't make me for a second think that I should be going to Tallahassee instead of Death Valley, to me, that tells me all I need to know about which of those 2 teams the SEC should be more interested in than the other.
It's also, to be fair here, Catch, it's also about the level I think Florida State is going to be playing at in game 1. I just think there's a better chance that the game with LSU and Clemson is a football game for me. By the end of that game with Bama and Florida State, I don't trust the Noles right now to make that a ball game for sure.
Yeah, but I really want to see both of those 2 teams play. So,
I do too. But if you look, Klubnik and Nussmeier.
I'm just saying, I don't need to go to Tallahassee. There's something romantic about the idea of that Clemson game and the pageantry around it. And
the 2 Death Valley teams, both bands are playing Hold That Tiger. Come on now. It's too good. It's way too good. All right, Catch, you said you need to run. There's some super chats, but if you need me to clean up,
let's just knock them out fast. I'm already going to be 5 minutes late. Let's make it 8.
Okay, let's go $20 super chat. Tom G, thank you. Catch, I need someone to draft for me in Alex's fantasy draft since I will be in Ireland and can't make it. That's a brag. Since I replaced your spot, figured you might be up for it. What say you? Oh, Tom, don't drag him back in. Catch, you got to say no to this.
I mean, is it
say no. Don't do it.
Tom, reach out to me, email me. I need to know the date. I can't commit to anything and not know the date because it could be. I got like a trip to El Paso coming up that I haven't even told Chad about. Like I got stuff that,
No, Tom, don't do it. Please stop trying to pull him back in. He's out. He's fantasy free. $5 super chat from Jay Ketch. I was with you 100% on the Klubnik talk last week, but was shocked when Anwar said his rating was that low, 148. Did it surprise you too? Were we talking like season rating?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say no, it wasn't that surprising to me. He struggled early in the season. I mean, the opener against Georgia was a catastrophe. And he finished hot. So, the thing about Klubnik that you would say, it was kind of one of those things that we waited on from viewers, which was at the end of the year, he hit a stride. And I was like, oh, well, this is what this guy can look like. I think the exciting thing about Klubnik was that he just really started to flash that in the final month of last season, where it felt like he had the glow. And even against Texas, you've never had a more kind of inspiring road performance by a road quarterback in a game that Texas won pretty comfortably. I mean, Texas never felt like on the edge of losing that game at all, and yet Klubnik kept making throws on a night when Texas scored points and should have put that thing away early. It's been really rare over the years where Texas has come out of a game and the defense hasn't played really well, and their reaction to it is, man, we're not even tripping. That dude was throwing the ball. Like, did you see him? And they came away with a mad amount of respect for Klubnik. And if a defense is willing to give a quarterback that and not come away feeling like, oh, he got lucky, that was on us. No, they turned around and said, instead of that being about us, that dude just made some throws. And I can't wait to watch him play this season.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. That first one's incredible. One more from Jay for $2. Thank you, Jay. If Kreul was 6'1", but ran a 4.3 and had a 48-inch vert.
Yeah, man. For real.
Yeah.
Sign me up. That dude sounds like a terror.
That sounds like an exception right there. That sounds like an exception. Jay, we appreciate it. Catch, I'm going to tell people about the Deep Eddy event coming up. You want to run and get to your lunch?
Yeah, I got to get going. I accidentally, this is a repeat. This is a rematch.
Okay.
I had a lunch.
Oh, this is the one you didn't. Okay, well, go then. Go to the lunch. Get it taken care of. You get it taken care of. That's Jeff Ketchum, everybody. Let me show you this Deep Eddy vodka cup and remind you we are headed to the Deep Eddy vodka tasting room on Friday the 29th. We're going to be there from 12 to 3. We're going to do the show from there. Now, remember, as you can see over there, they open at 11 a.m. on Fridays. So you can come on out a little early if you want. We'll be there from 12 to 3. So we'll have the show. We will have, we'll taste a couple things. We'll also have some of the great Crimson Creek Smokehouse barbecue. Because trust me, I'm not going out there. I'm not heading all the way out the drip without having some of that beautiful barbecue that they serve alongside the Deep Eddy. In fact, if you look at this picture, see that bag in the background? See that wonderful greasiness on the bag? Yeah, that's Crimson Creek Smokehouse barbecue. So good. So good. We're going to be out there on the 29th for the OB Live event the day before Ohio State. Check them out. Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. It is always a good time out there. And they are now open on Wednesdays, as you see on the lower left there. Wednesdays and Thursdays, 12 to 7. Friday, Saturday, 11 to 7. Sunday, 12 to 5. All right, thank you guys for jumping in. Catch is running to his lunch. You guys have great lunch or whatever you're doing today. Check out all the content. We appreciate you for liking, subscribing, and getting your notifications. Thank you for getting that subscriber number up as high as it is, but it needs to go higher because we're on our way to 8 million. You can't get to 8 million unless you get to, what's it about to be? 76,000, something like that. Thank you guys for helping us do that. Y'all take care. We will talk to you tomorrow. Tomorrow at noon, it'll be a modcast. We'll move it. Catch had to move things around this week. So tomorrow, a Wednesday modcast with me and whoever I can find right here.